Hello, this is Brian. Today I want to present an episode of Spotlight on Trees. Today is Tuesday, June 30th, 2020. I'm at the Charlton Flat Recreation Area in the Angeles National Forest. I'm at an elevation of 5,380 feet, roughly above sea level. And today's Spotlight on Trees is going to focus on a different variety of a tree I just featured on the 7th of June. That episode focused on the shrub interior live oak. This episode focuses on the tree interior live oak. The shrub one was Quercus wislizeni variety frutescens, whereas this one is Quercus wislizeni variety wislizeni. Unlike frutescens, this one is a full-fledged tree as opposed to the shrub form typically found here in Southern California. Relatively branch-free for a fair amount of its crown, as you can see here. And the variety wislizeni basically forms a tree as opposed to a shrub, which is typical of variety frutescens. So I'm here basically in the lower portion of the yellow pine belt of the San Gabriel Mountains, Angeles National Forest. And we do get a lot of variety frutescens here, but we also have a couple of variety wislizeni. And variety wislizeni can also have multiple trunks, but usually fewer than a variety frutescens. This one looked like it had another larger trunk that got broken off or burnt down. Sorry for that noise. Somebody's just opening a Forest Service gate. So variety wislizeni is a tree, and frutescens is a shrub. Okay, so I've established that, and I've probably repeated that a little too much. Well, so what you just saw was the upright version, variety wislizeni. Here is the variety frutescens, the shrub variety. Look at that, thicket forming shrub, no main trunks. But one thing is, the leaves are basically the same. Here's your shrub interior live oak. And as I'm walking up, I'm trying to walk fast so I don't lose your attention. Here's more shrub interior live oak here, variety frutescens. A lot of the leaves are spiny edged. Not all of them, but a lot of these lower branches are that way because the spines kind of deter a little bit of herbivory. Now, here's the tree version, variety wislizeni. Leaves are basically the same. Not much morphological difference in the shapes and size of the leaves. Leaves can be variable in size, like on the shrub interior live oak. They can be spiny edged, or they can be smooth edged, like this one. If I can get it in frame. Try not to rip the leaf off. This one's smooth edged. So the leaves are basically the same, and they also variable in size. As you can see here, we've got smaller leaves on the outside of the canopy, larger leaves on the inside of the canopy, because larger leaf area functions in shade to grab as much light with the larger surface area. So, and this is what the flowers look like. These little dangling catkins, that's what they are called, catkins. These are spent, so these are old catkins from a few months ago. But that's basically what they look like. And they can produce quite a bit of pollen. And here's the trunk of the tree interior live oak. This one is a pretty mature trunk right here, so you can tell it has a nice gray furrowing, just like this, that a lot of the frutescens, the variety frutescens, only get when their multi-trunk thicket, when their multi-trunks get really large, like the example I showed around Rosanita's saddle at the beginning of the month. So the acorns, again, are basically the same as on Quercus wislizeni variety frutescens. Maybe about 1.5 inches long, kind of narrow, kind of like a coast live oak's acorns. Narrow with a very rounded, fairly small acorn cup. Let's see if I can find an old acorn cup so I can at least show you what the cup looks like. These right here are the female flowers. This is what becomes the acorn. These little pieces here become the acorns. Those are the female flowers. And pretty much similar in most of the oaks anyways. I'm trying to see if I can find some acorn cups. Last year, I believe these trees had a really good year, the Quercus wislizenis. I know the shrub variety had a blowout year last year. I remember seeing scores of acorns on the shrub ones. And there's some shrubby thickets right here. Well, they can become quite shrubby at times. That's it. The tree interior live oak normally is not a super large tree. It's a fairly small tree. A lot of times it's maybe even a little smaller than a coast live oak. Refer to my October 17th, 2019 video, Spotlight on Trees, coast live oak, for a comparison of what a coast live oak looks like. And one thing you'll know if you read up on these is that coast live oaks and interior live oaks are closely related. They're in the red oak group, the Lobatae / Erythrobalanus. Erythrobalanus, I think, is the older name for the group, or you also call them the Lobatae. So, with that in mind, oaks have a propensity to hybridize, so, especially within their same lineage. So, one red oak might hybridize with another red oak. And that does happen very often, and I've seen evidence of it. I see evidence of it all the time when I'm hiking. So, tree interior live oak and shrub interior live oak, since they're red oaks, they can hybridize with all of our red oaks. The other red oaks here in Southern California include the coast live oak, Quercus agrifolia variety agrifolia, southern coast live oak, Quercus agrifolia variety oxyadenia, and California black oak, Quercus kelloggii, which is morphologically much different because it has large lobed leaves and sheds its leaves in autumn and is leafless through the winter and early spring months. So these are pretty small. I've seen larger tree interior live oaks in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada, in Sequoia National Park, around Hospital Rock picnic area. There's some larger examples mixed in with the blue oaks over there. So these are pretty small. Like I said, some of these, some of these here, with all the thickets at the bottom of them, could almost be argued as variety frutescens. I'm going with variety wislizeni because of the main trunks, especially on this one and the one across the road, and this multi-trunk beauty right here. They can get multi-trunked even as the tree variety. And these are generally much taller than our variety frutescens, which is usually under 20 feet. Some of these are probably closer to 30 feet or so. Let me back out and get a perspective on this tree. Much larger than our shrubby interior live oak. That's why I'm really certain that this is variety wislizeni. Much taller. It's about the size of a small coast live oak. So I guess 40, 50 feet's not out of the question. Occasionally even taller than 60 feet. Not super common, at least not in my experience, but then again, living here in Southern California, the variety frutescens is by far, and I mean by far, much more common. I only come across variety wislizeni once in a while. Another location here in Southern California where I've seen variety wislizeni is on Main Divide Truck Trail near Santiago Peak, in near the border of Orange and Riverside counties, in the Santa Ana mountain range in the Cleveland National Forest. There's a lot of variety frutescens in the Santa Ana mountain range, but there are a few variety wislizenis. So there are a lot of frutescens, but there are also a couple of variety wislizenis around the 5,000 foot elevation contour near Santiago Peak. So that's a good place to see them. And interior live oak is a very happy home to Sceloporus occidentalis longipes, the western fence lizard. Beautiful, beautiful young male lizard right here. You'll see them scurrying up these interior live oaks all the time. But interior live oak basically ranges up and down the coast ranges here in Southern California, maybe northern Baja California, and then also in the Sierra Nevada, especially in the foothills and lower elevations, generally below 6,000 feet. I mean, I've seen variety frutescens as high as 7,000 feet before. I'm not sure exactly how high variety. Did I just say variety wislizeni or variety frutescens? What I meant to say is that 7,000 feet. I've seen variety frutescens as high as 7,000 feet. Hope I didn't accidentally say wislizeni. Variety wislizeni, I haven't seen enough of those to really see their true elevation. But here it is, the tall, little, narrow, young tree here, the interior live oak. So when we're talking about that these are red oaks, I have seen the hybrids between these and California black oaks. Well, mostly it's the variety frutescens I've seen hybridized with California black oak, which provides the oracle oak, Quercus morehus, which its leaves are in between the lobes of the black oak and the spininess of the interior live oak. And some trees are half deciduous, some of them lose barely any leaves at all. So some of them that do lose some of their leaves get a nice bright yellow fall color. And then in the Sierras, interior live oak, the tree version, also hybridizes with black oak, creating larger oracle oaks. I believe somewhere in the Sierras farther up north, there's a 108-foot oracle oak. So if I find out where that is and it's not on private property, I'd love to go visit it. I have also seen it hybridized with coast live oak, or at least believe I have, near Blue Jay Campground in the Cleveland National Forest in the Santa Ana Mountains, this time in Orange County. I've seen evidence of hybridization between coast live oak and interior live oak. And coast live oak leaves are kind of similar. Only difference is the leaves curl under on coast live oak. See, these are relatively flat, maybe a little light curling here and there, but coast live oak leaves curl a lot more strongly downward. So I've seen shrubs with evidence of both features in their leaves, intermediate traits. Very common interior live oak companion is the gray pine, Pinus sabiniana. They're not native here to the San Gabriels, but if you go to far northwestern LA County near Liebre Mountain, you'll start seeing native stands of these. But so again, interior live oak, Quercus wislizeni variety wislizeni, tree variety. Taller, less trunks, not really a thicket forming shrub, taller stature, pretty much similar to the same in all the other aspects. So that was Brian, Spotlight on Trees on the interior live oak. Hope you found this interesting, and I will see you on the next episode of Spotlight on Trees. Thanks for watching.